Good afternoon, Keith Tebow from FRCMedia. Thank you for joining us today. We've talked a lot about how the city of Fall River is looking to grow its arts and culture scene. There have been a number of organizations that have, had a foothold in the city, but now there's efforts to sort of bring them all together under one group. The Florida Arts and Culture Coalition was formed a couple of years ago with that in mind, and the coalition recently hired its first executive director, and she's joining us today. And please be joined by Ashley Occhino. She is the new executive director of the Florida
Yes.
Arts and Culture Coalition. Ashley, congratulations and thank you for joining me. How are you?
I'm very well. And of course, thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be invited.
Well, thank you for joining me. First, before we get started into your plans for arts and culture and the coalition here in Fall River, give us a little bit of background of who Ashley is and what do you bring to your position.
Sure. So a little bit about myself. I've been a arts and culture professional for over 15 years in Massachusetts. And during that time, I've had the opportunity to work for and lead organizations at pivotal moments in all of their histories. And so coming in to Fall River at this time kind of makes sense in the scheme of things for me a little bit. I'm also a practicing artist. My background is actually in textile design, and I'm a weaver that wish I could do that more. But I really am a little bit of arts admin, a little bit of studio. And I've had a real rich understanding and experience of the arts around New England and especially here in Massachusetts, as I mentioned. So coming here to Fall River, it's very exciting for me. And I didn't come from too far. Previously, before this, I was over in New Bedford as the executive director of the art museum there. And so during that time, actually had a really wonderful chance to partner with Fall River, different institutions and different events that happened here in the city.
Yeah. So that was going to be my next question. What do you know about the arts here in Fall River? And we'll get in a little bit about some of the specifics about what you'd like to achieve. But what did you know coming in about the arts scene here in Fall River?
Well, I can say that I wish I knew more, but I can happily say that I have had the opportunity to visit different types of events that have happened around the city. But one of the things that was really special for me was one of my trips in COVID land was out to FR and that was a wonderful, just very new kind of at the time. And I'm really happy to see that museum and that institution is still going and thriving. And so I'd love to be able to really uplift, and as well, I know you'll get into your next question, I don't want to jump ahead, but being able to connect with more institutions is something that I'm really looking forward to do in this role as executive director.
Yeah. So I'm sure that's what you've been doing. You've actually been on since the middle of January, I believe around the 18th is when you started. So
Yes.
you've only been on for a couple of weeks. So talk a little bit about what you've been doing in terms of getting yourself up to speed.
Sure. So in getting myself up to speed, it's all about meeting all the people of the coalition. I did attend a coalition meeting in January, and we have another one. We have one every month, and so we have one coming up in February, and again in March, middle of the month. And I really just need to meet everyone. Our work here in the city can really move. They like to say at the speed of trust, and so I think it's very important that I get to engage with all of the coalition members and those who perhaps haven't had a chance to come to a coalition meeting yet. So for me, it's really about learning all the ins and outs of this beautiful city, and learning all of the different thoughts and dreams and aspirations that the creatives here have, and how really I can personally best serve them through my experiences and through my passion as well that I bring to the table.
Yeah. As I mentioned at the beginning, there's been a lot of great arts and cultural organizations in Fall River. There's been a some sort of a disconnect, according to some, in terms of bringing them together. And when the Arts and Culture Coalition, rather, was formed a few years ago, it was with that intent to bring people together and sort of, be that linchpin or that place where organization can take place in terms of alerting people of what's happening and also organizing events in and of itself. The uh, the FRACC, if you will, for Arts and Culture Coalition, just finished, and in the fall of last year was delivered an arts and culture plan I'm sure you had a chance to see it.
I
What are your
have.
thoughts about it? Yeah, and what are your thoughts in terms of that being a blueprint moving forward and your ability to work with that moving forward?
Well, first off, I'd just like to say that I'm really grateful to all of the members of the coalition, all the players, including the One South Coast Chamber and Viva Fall River for really, having a plan here and having a plan ready. I think that that in itself is very, very significant. And I'm excited. It's a plan of 6 goals and 27 strategies, and they all make a lot of sense. And for those that don't know, this is a multi-year plan that has existed, and it was put together by Civic Moxie, but also by putting together a lot of different stakeholder meetings and interviewing people all across the city and across the South Coast too. And so with this plan, it's really our goal is to, and my goal personally is to foster a vibrant, inclusive, and most importantly, sustainable creative economy for Fall River, and that can take a lot of different forms. And right now, you had mentioned that the coalition got started about 2 years ago, and we have about 100 members, and that's fantastic. And I would love to see 200 members come in the next year, and to grow and grow and grow, because this coalition is not just exclusively for those who consider themselves individual artists. I welcome businesses, I welcome entrepreneurs, I welcome students, I really welcome anyone in the community who would love to see the city really just elevate itself and become a beacon for arts and culture, and for really a destination as well.
And how important will it be, Ashley, to work with city leaders? Because obviously, a lot of the events may be taking, in city public lands. I mean, the city's working on that. Their city pier out on the waterfront that's going to be providing a lot of opportunity and potential for events to be held down there. How important is your work to be working with political leaders here in Fall River?
Oh, absolutely essential. It is absolutely essential. We will not be able to achieve this plan to the fullest without the support of the city. And throughout the plan, the city is mentioned continuously. Different committees or departments within City Hall are identified as real collaborators, and those who are necessary to help implement certain parts of this. Yes, there is a lot of public, beautiful space in the city, and some of it is prime for redevelopment or for development. And as always, nothing makes a place better than when you bring arts and culture into it. So I'm very excited to see, especially what can happen along the waterfront through this arts and culture plan. It's one of the spaces that we've identified to really engage and see what we can have happen there. So that's a spot that I think it's such an asset for the city to have, and I'd like to see that really develop to its fullest potential.
Moving forward, we all get very anxious and we all have short attention spans in the age of the internet and the like. A plan like this, you said, it's a multi-year plan, something that probably shouldn't be rushed. But do you have any timelines in mind after 2 weeks in terms of how you'd like to see, these small building blocks, start, and how you can build, one goal upon another as you move forward?
Yeah, I think that yeah, that's a bold question to ask so early in of me, but I'll say that right now is a really unique opportunity for the city, for the state, and for this country to take advantage of ARPA funding, and other funding that exists out there. And so, being able to leverage these one-time special funds to make really big, exciting things happen for the city, that at the same time meet a need that's already been identified and will have a lasting positive impact. Yeah, I think it's all about really, with this coalition, they've shown that it's all about leveraging your minds and your ideas, right? And what you can do together as a team. So I'd love to continue to really, lean on the members of the coalition, and at the same time be there to support them. But I think that, with about 100 members, it's really amazing what I think we could get done. And I'm really excited, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. And how important is it as well? You talk about funding, and obviously the state has its arm, their cultural council. You got local cultural councils in the region. How important is it to have um, a collective vision in some cases without impacting, local projects of some of your members who may be, maybe going after some of that same funding on a state and regional level.
Yeah, I think that actually I would like to say that anytime that FRACC goes in for an application, that I would not want to be thought of as competition.
Mm.
I really see myself in this role as leading the different coalition members, is to be an asset for people. And that's something that will develop as we go forward in the future, is being really able to provide a lot more resources, especially in terms of being able to do grants or financial management for creatives. But the unique and fun thing about when you ask for money is when you ask for lots of money, when lots of applications come out on the table, and when those applications have some tie together, or a partnership, or something similar that moves the whole forward, even if it's in parts, it's much more likely that that funder is going to come back and agree and see your bigger picture. So I'm not so much worried about lots of applications happening. I think it's more about just good applications happening.
Yeah, and those that are targeted, right, to meet some of the needs of our particular city. Let me just ask you before we wrap up, you know, um, being in charge of something like this, you said you've been involved for multiple years in New Bedford and other locations, and being an artist yourself. Is there anything, I know in some of the things I like to do, I don't like to reinvent the wheel if I don't have to. So are there some of examples, be them either in like a city like New Bedford or other cultural centers, Providence and Boston, some ideas you can take from other regions that you can bring to this position?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that you've named off some of the ones I would have said right there, but one in particular effort that I would just like to point out that I think has some really similar ties to what we would like to see happen in terms of arts and culture leading economic development is from our friends over in New Bedford. They have an entity called NB Creative, New Bedford Creative, and within that entity is a whole consortium made up of lots of different members of the city, and people who work within the city. And it's not too different from our FRACC coalition, the coalition that we have here. But what they've been able to do has just been absolutely amazing in terms of bringing groups together and being able to generate sources for funding and granting. And I would really love to see us become, I don't know, we could become a Philadelphia with lots of, their big, beautiful murals, or even like Worcester. Worcester Arts has been doing some fantastic work in that city. And yeah, I think it's not about reinventing the wheel. There's so many nonprofit organizations and volunteer-led organizations right here in Massachusetts, in different cities. Worcester's one of the cities I have worked in, and they are there. And one of the best things that, again, I would say to Fall River as a city, and to those listening and to those statewide, is that being willing and open to exchange ideas and resources and best practices really benefits everyone. And it's really what's going to move all of us forward in a way that I think is going to have the biggest impact, and not just on one little thing here and there, but I mean big picture impact. And it's all about just being able to be open-minded and to be collaborative.
Right. And obviously, as has been mentioned many times in these communities, the economic development opportunities for a city like Fall River that hasn't really seen a lot of activity within the arts for economic development, that's going to be a big part of this as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I think, that goes a lot back to, applications and applying for funding, and really kind of digging down into, the right types of funders to ask for, and the right types of projects to put in those applications. But yes, artists always come first before the renaissance, right? It's that renaissance that the artists lead forward in any of these cities. And so I truly do believe that if we're able to empower the creatives in Fall River, there is going to be an amazing up trickle of that's going to happen all the way through, and it's going to be amazing. This whole city is going to be very, very vibrant. I can just foresee it.
Yeah. And I think we're all looking forward to that here in Fall River. Ashley Occhino, the executive director of the Florida Arts and Culture Coalition, thank you for your time, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon. I
All
appreciate it.
right. Thank you.
All right. And thank you for joining us here in FRC Media. I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great day.